Okie dokie though. Should be just about through our little beehive here. It's nice having this tiny little diagonal hallway to retreat back to. Definitely trivialized the entire thing, at least relative to what it could have been. Fighting our way through the entire swarm here. Ooh, and a potion of ambrosia, hey? Can't believe that's our first one. We've never stumbled across those, hey? Huh. Well, I think I'm gonna give up on the throwing game for the most part here. Can always come back for our boomerangs if we so desire. Let's turn off stones, turn off boomerangs. Even darts, starting to get to the point where I won't bother collecting them, but that's fine. At least not yet. And let's see. Spriggan I don't have too much trouble with. The boulder beetle is gonna hit like a truck. Worshipping Oka or Trog would help with finding Vampiric. Genie of Trog doesn't seem like a good idea though. Hey, it's not the end of the world, and in fact, it's still, just because of how powerful Trog is, especially in a 3-rune game, I think you could quite easily make your way through a run with that exact build. Even though it seems kind of absurd on the surface level. Okay, so you deal 32 damage. Whoops, meant to be in my XP menu. 32 damage though, so we are safe from dying immediately, which means I'm gonna blast you. Along with the poison, you should just be dead. There we go, you feel a bit more experienced as it dies just out of sight. But yeah, no, Genie of Trog, well, maybe not the most ideal of setups. I actually don't think is necessarily as horrible as it seems on surface level, because even without casting spells, Trog is just so strong. Ooh, a Demon Whip of Draining. A Demon Whip this early can be pretty strong in its own right. So you see a +1 and 11 while still having essentially a 1-turn attack delay with no training. It's the +2 and 6, so you're doubling the base damage. Venom Brand is also going to start to fall off in efficacy. Jeez Louise. Brain and mouth not cooperating there for a wee bit. I think I will switch over to the Demon Whip. Can equip that if we really want poison. We can always use the Rapier. And all in all, it should be pretty sweet. There we are. Through Lair 2. Not too much trouble here. I should really just pick one of these and start wearing it. Start using it. I mean, the cloak also just gives us 3 AC, which was pretty awesome. But I'm looking at that ring, friend. Looking at that ring. It does similar stuff to this one, unfortunately. Just in terms of the positive energy that it brings to the run. Can never have too much positive energy. Genie is a bit low HP, but flying, immunity to poison, fire resistance are handy. Very much so, yeah. Cold vulnerability definitely can be a pain, especially if you come across like a very early Ice Blast wand in the hands of a unique or a bunch of white imps, but in general, you're not going to be worrying about it too much in the early game, and usually by the time it becomes a factor, you're already a bit beyond the need to worry about it, which is awesome. But yeah, in general, the trade-offs are pretty huge in favor of the Genie, at least in my books. I would agree with you there. Amulet of Regeneration, eh? Let's bring our snaky pals to us. Perfect. Hello, friend. Hello, friend number 2. Please step this way so I can light you on fire. Love to see it. Not too bad. So we get snake here instead of spider. Unfortunate when I was saying that I kind of wanted spider, but at the end of the day, probably going to be a decent thing in our books here. Also, for whatever reason, I still felt like I was using my poison whip until I saw the little draining symbol appear on a portrait there. Threw me off for a second, then I realized that, no, I'm just kind of dumb. But light our new friends on fire, light our new friend on fire. One last time. And run away. Perfect. Early oozes sometimes hit hard on D1. In general with spellcasters, especially ones with relatively low health, though, I feel like that can be the case for sure. Oh, and a Hydra. Well, let's just take our wolf friends on a bit of a merry jaunt. Oops, close that. Come back in here. That way we're at least dealing with them in that 1v1 fashion that we so often keep resorting to here. No, cold vulnerability definitely does make it even worse. I wouldn't disagree with you there. Depending on which types of ooze you get. Also, what am I doing? I ask you this. What am I doing? Let's just walk past these buddies. Okay. That's slightly more manageable. We should still be able to fight a Hydra. So since you'll be slowing the wolves down a wee bit. Whoops. What am I casting? Oh, that's what I'm casting. Whoops. It's not the spell I thought I was casting. I was trying to cast Bolt of Magma and I kept just conjuring flames right at my feet. Fun stuff. Definitely could have been an embarrassing end to the run there. Whoopsie daisy. But no matter, never didn't have it. Is it normal to get packs of Deathiacs on Lair 2? No, I'd say it's not the norm. Very unfortunate for us to have seen that earlier. Fortunately, we had the tools in our kit here to deal with it, so it's not the end of the world, but just the sheer number of Deathiacs that we've been coming across here, and now we're slowed too, which is not great. Just keep lighting them on fire, hitting them with some of that sweet, sweet drain. Jeez Louise. And there we go. Now that we've killed the snail, we're out of the deep thicket at the very least, and start running back, laying them on fire, running away. And not too bad. Sticky Flame, you the real MVP. Perfect. Was it a vault of some kind? Not as far as I could be aware, especially since we ran into 2 different Deathiac packs that were not hanging around the same area, so definitely a bit of a weird situation there, but not the first time I've ran into them that early on either, of course. Never know what the run has in store for you. I will take whatever the game wishes to throw at us, and we'll be happy with it. Mostly because I believe in our chances of survival, and I think we can make it through anything. The power of belief on our side, faith in our own abilities, we will make it through this dark, scary night. So we find the +10 dagger of dim light. Huh. That's a really awesome early game find here. Also is the drain effect, our corrosion, see invisible, more RN. Again, I love the positive energy. Keep piling it on game. But do I need that much? All in one fell swoop here? Not the greatest. But I will happily take it still. I guess we'll drop these gloves since we probably won't end up using them. Invocable Blink, kind of nice for sure. Strength +4, not bad, but the slow effect isn't necessarily a good trade-off for that mix. Let's potentially switch over to that dagger. Is positive energy even that good for a through-in game? Not really. Definitely not as useful as you find it in the later sections. I mean, you will, of course, find Tormentors, Cursed Toes, and Zot, whatnot. So, it's something. It's definitely not nothing. But, no, probably have more than we could ever use just at our disposal here. Okay, this time on purpose, let's conjure a flame. Oh, right, no, I need 2 spaces because they snuff it out. Whoops. Hey, big Dauntless with R and +++++, Menace will turn neutral. Hey, with enough positive energy at your side, anything is possible, right? Right? I mean, how could Menace not see the light, really? When you come in with that kind of energy, making everyone feel good around you as well, who wouldn't turn to your side? Positive vibes only, you know? Okie dokie. Cataplevis. Potentially slightly scary here. I almost wish I had my poison back just so that we could double up on the damage over time effects like we were doing before. But Still not too shabby, especially since we can always get him to shove off a wee bit. Bolt of Magma. Deals less damage to you? No, you are not resistant to fire. Oh, I thought for sure you would be. Why do you live in flames if you're not gonna... Doesn't make sense, friend. In that case, just freaking blast them. And perfect. Even using the petrification to our own advantage there. Getting some free hits off on the Lindworm, as it were. Not too bad. Just stop. Don't put me to sleep, please. Let's just light you all on fire, just in case I do go to sleep. It's nice to know that you may die in the process. Indeed, we see that we kill 2 of the Dream Sheep there. Oh gosh. They brought all of their friends. If I ever died to Frilled Lizard, I think over the years, I've probably died to just about every single monster in the game here. But no, definitely on certain starts. Hey, those Frilled Lizards, they can be nasty. Sure, they're the weakest enemy in the game, arguably, but doesn't mean they can't kill an aspiring adventurer if they try hard enough. Everything is a risk, everything is a danger. In the dungeon, everything wants to kill you. And they can swim. Indeed, I didn't even think about that. You can get absolutely swarmed by them. In a sewer? Nerf. Yes, nerf Frilled Lizards. This is something I think the whole community can get behind. Ooh, an unidentified scroll. Speaking of which, I haven't found very many identified scrolls throughout the course of this run so far, eh? What's with that game? What's with that? Well, I'll drop my protection ring. I doubt we'll be going back to double fisting those anytime soon, since we have switched over to this section of the game where it's generally a bit more applicable to have resistances of some kind, or some auxiliary effect, of course. And aha, our electro friends. So this is where could always just dive into our pockets, or dip into our pockets rather, and pull out that artifact ring that we said no to from acquirement. Trivialize those buddies in a real hurry. Oh, and you fool. How dare you bring Frost to a firefight? You absolute idiot. There we go. I'm hoping we come across a decent number of ice-based enemies over the course of the run. It is pretty beautiful when you are able to take advantage of those elemental vulnerabilities in your enemies. Definitely doesn't always arise, the opportunity that is to do so. It turns out our whole lair is just filled to the brim with death yaks. They really do be just hanging out everywhere, hey? And the Rime Drakes are actually kind of scary now, because if they use their frozen effect on us, we're gonna slow down something fierce. So, let's use that Sticky Flame. Sticky Flame. I guess it was mostly that in conjunction with Poison that was really hitting for the big bucks earlier, hey? But that's fine. Probably take care of you. Freeze you. Start getting the heck out of there. We at least do have 1 pip of fire resistance, so the steam isn't exactly going to be doing a number on us, which is pretty sweet. And slowly but surely make our way back up to the stairs, and there we are. Now we're frozen. You son of a gun. How dare you? Let's just blast both of them, though. Should be able to fight steam dragons relatively straightforwardly, in a straightforward fashion. I guess is probably the better way to say that phrase. Let's just kill you and kill all of you. Oh wow, and we finally got gifted a spellbook from good old Sif Muna here. So we pick up Sif Muna's Guide on Unstable Battle Magic. Gains shocks here, ignite poison. Would have been nice a while ago. No longer quite as useful now that we're not using that, but we do also gain Firestorm. So that's the top level fire spell here. Absolutely ridiculous in terms of damage. We should be able to train up to that over the course of the run if we so desired. We're already training Conjurations and Fire. That could be fun. Gets past even fire resistant enemies, and it's smite based targeting, so it really helps with dealing with those big threats before they manage to make their way through all the chaff between you and them. So that's pretty awesome. And speaking of late game magic, our skills haven't been peaked in a while here, so we could start to take a look at things. Starting to train some shields might be nice. We do have a kite shield on us, and that would synergize well with the reflection amulet, of course, giving us slightly more chances there, especially considering the fact that we'll almost definitely be wearing that reflection amulet into our snake, where there are a whole bunch of ranged attacks coming our way, so that's pretty sweet. Alternatively, could definitely start training some transmutations here and try and get statue form online. It'll give us a whole lot of assurity, I guess, in the mid game here. Actually give us the defenses necessary to make it through some of these larger group fights. It's definitely on the list here. Okie dokie. So funny, two different times, both in Gauntlet where it became explicit, but even before that on one of the early dungeon floors where we ran into a couple of those steam dragons, had totally disregarded the Scarf of Resistance that we picked up at the very start of our game. I think that was even on D1. And so they never really posed as much of a threat as they did in my own head, at the very least. Here we go, something very resistant to fire. What fun. I mean, I should have seen this coming. There were dragons everywhere. What's one more dragon? Well, and most importantly, skills at beautiful round numbers. I do it for you, Eggly. I do it just for you. But okie dokie. Don't love that. Still just have one pip of fire resistance on our side of things. Let's see. Ultimagma, I mean, technically gets past some of that. Not enough, though. We have 18 ice blasts. Oh, jeez. Excuse me with a big ol' yawn. Alternatively, we also have a bunch of acid on top of that. Throwing net and stabs. Definitely not the worst idea either, especially with a +10 dagger. Seems pretty awesome. I guess we can even take a look. 73% chance to hit. Oh, but immune to nets because of how big they are. Right. That's one of those changes that happens sometime in my playtime that always takes me a moment to reconfigure my head to realize what the heck is going on. And now we are frozen. Perfect. So there's no running away. I mean, at least in the traditional way. There's always the option to just teleport the heck out of there. Let's see. Can hit you with acid. Can hit you with ice. Hit you with ice. Probably risking it too far here. Yeah. Unfortunately, just a couple bad rolls on this fire breath is going to hurt really badly. They're dealing, what is that, 36 damage with one pip of fire resistance at max? Actually, not as bad as my brain was originally doing the calculus there. I think I can just blast you out of this world. And we kill the fire dragon. Perfect. I was actually kind of hoping for the fire dragon scales to be dropped there. Would have been kind of nice, but definitely not strictly necessary. Now we can just blow up both of these two in spectacular fashion. Nice to be able to use that fire magic, you know? As we fail to cast Sticky Flame at a crucial moment. Whoopsie daisies. That's fine though. And onwards we go. Hoping that's the scariest part of this little fire dungeon area. It should be. Only get some more ID. By some, I of course just mean one more ID scroll, but it's something at the very least. Can't complain. And that is our floor. So it looks like we have Shoals and Snake. both the humanoid branches could mean good stuff coming our way in terms of lots of shops. Shoals I'm not quite as excited about on this run as I was for all of our pound Tongas, because we're probably not going to be using throwing very much. So Shoals is just going to be scary, dangerous, not any huge advantage eked out of it in regards to the usual ones at the very least. But on the flip side of that, we do of course have fire magic at our disposal, which means we'll be creating steam clouds left and right in that section of the game. We can hopefully turn that into something spectacular. Let's definitely just take our newfound friends upstairs. Don't want to fight in front of a torpor snail, especially not with the Hydra involved as well. And we will just come at things from a new angle there instead. Perfect. Also never really came to a conclusion about our skills, hey? Kind of looked at them, glanced about, and Invocations is about to hit. So now is where I will force myself to make some decisions here. Statue form should be on its way down in terms of cast ability. In fact, yeah, down to 87%. So some transmutation training will definitely expedite that process, making it castable exceptionally soon here. Pretty sweet. Still no ignition, which is fine. But we hopefully gain that at some point in the near future. Looking at you, Sif, please and thank you. I'd greatly appreciate it. Let's see, LRD might be useful in the near future here. And we still don't have a beautiful weapon for Manifold Assault, as much as I love the crap out of that spell. So let's start going the statue form route, shall we? Bring up all skills here and let's start training transmutations. I won't focus it, let's just bring it up to a nice 10 or something like that and see how it goes. Enchanters lose Corona and get invisibility potions, so mummy enchanters are sad. Oh no, poor mummies. They already have it hard enough. I mean, they died. It's very, very depressing. That's interesting. I mean, Corona, definitely don't use it too much as a spell, even when I go with those starts, so I can't hate on that decision there. Gaining an invisibility potion is interesting. In general, it's kind of nice having potion starts, even if just for the fact that it gives you a free ID on potions. It can help out early on. But definitely always excited for changes, even if I have some issue with them on a personal playstyle basis. So that sounds fun. Yeah, Corona becomes a monster-only spell. Interesting. Let's stick some flame on you, stick some flame on you. That slow is hurting really bad. That last hit packed quite a wall up there, and this would be an exceptionally embarrassing way to go out. How much health do you have? 60. That's too much, friend. How much damage do you do? 25. Also rough. Is there any appeal on playing Mummy, or are they just bad? I mean, they're undead and have decent spellcasting aptitudes. I'm slightly biased in terms of that because I love the escapades of... Their name was Ziggy. Was it just Ziggy Stardust? But that was Ultraviolent 4's Ultra Ziggurat clearing Mummy. That was one of the earlier runs that I started watching somebody else play through and enjoyed the absolute crap out of. So a little biased in that regard there. But I do feel like they have decent spellcasting aptitudes as well as the benefits of the undead. So if you're really wanting to have full resistance to torment and stuff like that, then I could definitely see them being a decent one. But yeah, Big Dauntless, you liked them back when it meant you could ignore food, right? That used to be one of the big selling points on them, is you don't have to eat. Isn't that beautiful? But Just a thing of the past now. And Ziggy was amazing from Root Beer. I agree. Such a fun run. Such a good character. Ultraviolent certainly knows what they're doing. Okie dokie. I guess at some point here, I should do something. So let's IMB, knock all of our friends back. I'm glad I actually took the time to think that through, because that wasn't the first thing that came to my mind as the solution to our problems here. But thankfully, just talking it out for a moment, chatting with all of you lovely folks, I got there eventually. My brain made the connections at the very least. Just in time to save our gosh darn lives. You miss good uploads. He's been gone for a while now, right? Yeah. I mean, I hope Ultraviolent is doing well in their own life, and I wish them all the best. Because they don't owe us anything, of course, but I definitely enjoyed watching their series back in the day a whole lot as well. That's what makes me laugh when I get comments where people are like, oh, your play is informative and you help me get better. I'm like, oh, I'm nothing. Feel like I don't help whatsoever compared to the actual best in class Ultraviolent themselves, who taught me everything I know about the game in many ways, I'm sure. Let's light these yaks on fire, run the heck back. I think watching Ultraviolent was the impetus for me to finally stop just kind of fooling around in the game, which was my modus operandi for the longest time, and instead finally start to I think I could win this game consistently. So that was definitely a turning point for me, watching their series. And maybe a large part of why I'm even here in the first place, because of how much I enjoyed that and want to try and supply at least a similar vein of content on my side of things, if not quite to the same level of skill and consistency. Zot clock stops if you complete a ziggurat. Not sure if people ziggurat diving just to scam Zot. I actually haven't heard of that. I did potentially at one point learn that it pauses the Zot clock, but I guess if you're just diving through the whole thing too, like not even clearing floors, kind of sketchy. I mean, especially with your first ziggurat, I feel like as long as you're on a strong character, you're probably more likely to be able to make it through in one piece, actually actively clearing. Unless you have, I don't know, surplus of 27 blink scrolls, just use them non-stop, and who knows, just do whatever, do you know? But that is an interesting strat. I am curious about that. Because Zot clock, it pauses when you're in the abyss, and it pauses after your first ziggurat. That's good to know. Maybe we'll scam Zot in the future. Do our best to enact a brilliant plan that even Zot could never foresee. And okay, I think it's about time that I make my decision on the scroll requirement. I really want Seen Visible right away here, because I'm probably going to be heading out, or back out rather, to the regular old dungeon, regularly scheduled programming as it were. So what do I wish to bring with me? For the last time, let's make this decision. I feel like, again, I'm eyeing that cloak because it seems like it's fun. And don't get me wrong, it could be very powerful in terms of aiding in our retreat and whatnot. 3 AC never hurts. But the flip side of that is if I don't take this ring, what are the chances that we don't find a single source of electricity resistance throughout the rest of the run? Just to make us pay for looking down on Cyst here. I probably should just take the ring. Even just having it as a bit of an easier swap than something like a cloak. I'm gonna regret this for the rest of my life, but let's do it. Let's grab the ring. Can switch out our resist poison to that as our standard fare for a little bit here as we go back out to D11. Then if you're flying and there's lava on D1, you can take all enemies there and play a game super safe and tediously. Not wrong. Scan the Zot clock and just take every single monster in the entire game all the way back up to D1. I would applaud somebody's patience if they managed to do that. I mean, people thought that scamming the Zot clock by just standing at stairs and yelling was as far as it got. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, whatever gets you through a run, I guess, right? Survival is the be-all end-all at the end of the day here. It's what we all strive for. Did I drop my poison darts? I did. That's fine though. Let's just bring a bunch of foxfires into existence, and I think... Oh, the foxfire does not interrupt your roll. Good to know. That's fine. You managed to miss us, and we just sit back and relax. Let's set you both on fire, please and thank you. Perfect. Wand of Polymorph, we can probably just leave on the floor for now. We'll continue onwards and downwards here. So slime is where we can come up with some interesting techniques using sticky flame. As they combine together, the sticky flame goes with them. Unfortunately, doesn't deal quite enough damage to actually make an appreciable dent. Oh no, I've messed up my walk in here, my step in. Oh, random energy saves us, dooms us, saves us. Oh no. Oh, this is not great. Once more. How do I make the same mistake twice? You hit for 88, not 110. You're not the heaviest size. Okay, good to know, good to know. Let's hope this gap persists. We can close the door right in your face. Perfect. That's scary, to say the least. You sometimes lead enemies 3 floors to your favorable terrain, but you only do that for scary enemies because of Zot Clock, right? It's a good balance where that's still totally an option. It's still completely available, and in fact is oftentimes the best move to make in any given circumstance. You just can't rely on it for every single enemy anymore. So I do like the mix that the Zot Clock brought to things. Because at the end of the day, DCSS still is oftentimes about, making the best plays, playing optimally, playing slowly, cautiously, consistently. But it just gives it that slightest greater amount of leeway, where you sometimes will have to risk things and have more fun from it. But I know that I have a bit of a gambling personality, so that definitely plays into it, where I have a whole lot of fun. When there's a risk-reward factor coming into things, can't help it. Feel alive. Feel absolutely on fire. Kind of have to enjoy that side of things if you play too much DCSS, because RNG will sometimes screw you over, and other times you'll feel like the smartest person in existence. All depends on the roll of the dice here. Snorg the Insatiable. Hello, friend. Just blast ya. Gonna get enraged relatively soon here. Probably could blast through you. Even just 2 more fireballs and then finish off with Ice Blast or something to that extent. Let's do it. Genie is great for gambling personalities. Never know what spell you're gonna get. You're not wrong. That definitely probably plays slightly into what I enjoy so much about playing as genies. The main thing is the requirement for versatility and actually getting to experiment and try new things, instead of just following the same kind of formula that you might otherwise resort to on different characters. But can't deny that part of the irresistible nature of them is that you never know how it's going to turn out. It could be the greatest run of your life. I'm very excited for us to get to Genie in this series and see if we can't put our money where our mouth is and try and get through in relatively short order and relatively safe manner. A relatively safe manner, I guess I should say. Okay, let's ignite ya. Light you on fire once more. I was hoping you wouldn't merge. That's cool. This is the one that deals 64 damage. 66, of course. It's always a multiple of 22. Just gotta remember that. Genie Chaos Knight for extra gambling. I don't know about that. For me personally, at the very least. That seems to be pushing the envelope a bit further than I'm comfortable taking part in. Even though I say that, but I think some small part of me does absolutely love Zom. I mean, hey, our only win during the tournament was with an Octopode of Zom. Okay? What are we forced to admit from that alone? Zom's strongest god? Maybe. Maybe. Well, let's use magic mapping right away to find our entrance to the ice caverns. We have 1 pip, 2 pips even, of RC. So we should be fairly alright against the cold creatures, and on top of that, we'll be laying down some real hurt with our fire spells, as long as we have the positional advantage to do so. You absolute fools. Perfect. Even just Foxfire alone is going to take care of all these buddies. No problem. Did you do Zom scamming? No, I don't think so. At least not intentionally. Even though I'm not 100% aware as to what that exactly implies. In general, we just played our own game, and sometimes Zom helped us, sometimes we almost got absolutely murdered by his teleports across the maps, and it was a heck of a time, and had a lot of fun with it. Though getting an Octopode to the point where they have statue form just on its own is so exceptionally powerful that that's all you need in life. This will be a thing of beauty. Yeah, Safid, we did get the ice caverns that we wanted so badly. Can take advantage of all the vulnerability in the world here. Prove that fire is the best element, once and for all. Plus, it just helps how much resistance we have in all the requisite departments. Wow, Sticky Flame. Kind of forgot just how awesome you were on your own. And a Robe of Resistance, interesting. Waiting bad moods out in a safe place. See, I feel like waiting out doesn't jive with how I play Zom, because you gotta keep things interesting. You gotta keep throwing spaghetti at the wall till it sticks, you know? So no, I guess I did not participate too much in that style of gameplay, because I mostly just went here, balls to the wall, have fun, and enjoy the chaos, revel in it even. Statue is going to be a little bit of a pain in the rear. I guess what we could do is just wait out just enough to get some fireballs online. Perfect. Even just 1 fireball. That'll do it. Sif Muna, more like Sif Muna. Definitely just the most classic of mage gods here, but definitely not too often that I end up going with Sif, so I'm excited to experiment again and see how things are. Zom and Jivia should get rolled into 1 god. Oh, I don't know about that. Ever-changing and random aren't necessarily hand in hand, and they're both so purposeful or have so much personality that I'd hate to see either of them have to give in to the other in terms of what the resulting conglomeration, I guess, of the two would have to turn out. but definitely close enough to be confused with each other potentially, or could be rolled into one, and I wouldn't judge it too much at the end of the day. But I think they're too strong of personalities. They could never get along, even though they both fundamentally love change and that's all they want in the world. Not that kind of change, you know? Just can't accept the other person's decisions. But that's how it works with most deities, I feel, because deities are all such proud beings, so wrapped up in their own little worlds. Onwards we go here. No, I will not walk into that cloud of freezing vapor. Thanks for stopping me, game. You know me so well. Let's light everyone on fire. Perfect. Ooh, and finally we replenish our heal wounds. It's been sitting empty all this time. Feels like an eternity since we last had the opportunity. What spells are in our loadout again? Magma, Bolt, Fireball, Sticky Flame, Conjure Flame, and IMB pretty situational rather. And Blink and Foxfire, of course, is still stuck around from before. In terms of what we have available to learn, a whole lot. But right now we're training our way towards statue form. Should have that. I mean, how are we doing? Transmutation is up to 5. Where does that leave us? On the form of the statue variety. 43%, so it's getting there. Rue, quite literally. See, I'm not even experienced enough with Rue to understand that reference fully. They're one of the deities that I definitely need to try out more often, especially since so many people swear by Rue and find them super powerful. Not that that's always how I base my god choices, of course, so often it is just what I find to be most fun. That's why I like the thematic nature of so many of the gods. But I currently have offline, I think a knoll that I've just barely touched, gone back to every once in a while, that is following Rue and hasn't even made their first sacrifice. I think I turned down the first sacrifices that were offered. So very much a noob when it comes to Rue themselves. But one of these days, yes, I should probably just do it in one of these runs. This is my best playground for experimenting with new things, this series, so could learn something new, could have a favorite for life after that. Finally somebody could replace Go's Egg in my personal tier listing of all the deities in this game.